Ya, kita akan bereaksi video dari B1M tentang jalan tol Sumatera, bro. Ini video pertama kali tentang Indonesia. Semoga, ayo kita buka videonya.
Biggest annual migrations of people anywhere on Earth.
Millions of Indonesians have started leaving urban centers for their hometowns and villages ahead of the Muslim holiday season of Eid.
Every year, this piece of infrastructure becomes the backbone of something called Mudik, a giant homecoming for people all across Indonesia travelling back for Eid al-Fitr. Special services are laid on for trains, ferries and planes. There's even live coverage of the traffic as hundreds of thousands of people return to their hometowns and villages in Sumatra. It's a major test for Indonesia's roads and bridges, and it can be a bit of a struggle, until now. This is all thanks to one of the biggest infrastructure projects in Southeast Asia, a network of new routes across Indonesia that includes this, the Trans-Sumatra Toll Road, which, when it's fully completed, will span the entire length of the island. Weaving through the dense rainforest and tropical conditions of Indonesia's second largest island, building this massive road is far from easy. But it's already having a big impact on Sumatra, and in more ways than one.
Jalan tol Sumatera 3000 km.
Sumatra is roughly the size of California, and it produces nearly a quarter of Indonesia's GDP. Despite that, getting around it is not exactly straightforward. The island has a small and largely disconnected rail system, and travelling by road for any significant distance means you're in for a bit of a bumpy ride. That's why in 2015 the Indonesian government announced the construction of the imaginatively named Trans-Sumatra Toll Road.
The initial plan to build the Trans-Sumatra Toll Road is to reduce the logistic costs and also reduce the travel time. The government also wants to boost the economic growth of the island, of course.
The plan was huge. The road would stretch for nearly 3,000 kilometres from the port of Bakauheni in the south to the city of Bandaraki in the north. The main highway would provide a link from the south to the north of the island, and roads would branch off to connect cities along the more remote western coast, as well as towns and ports to the east. It wasn't cheap. An eye-watering $37 billion was earmarked to complete the project over a nearly decade-long construction period. The contract was given to Hatamakaya, and work began in 2015. Now, if you were to imagine the ideal conditions to build a road in, it would probably look something like this. First, you take a nice long flat stretch of ground and make sure there weren't any rivers or other roads in the way which you'd have to build bridges over. Ground conditions are pretty important. You'll need strong, dry, well-compacted soil which can stand up well under the weight of all your traffic. Water's a big no-no as it can seep into the ground and weaken the foundations, and you'll need to avoid any extremes of temperature or humidity, which can also stress and degrade the quality of the road. Finally, to make your life easier, you're going to want to make sure that the land you're building on is clear and obstacle-free, so you don't have to waste time clearing a path. So, what's it like in Sumatra? Huge parts of Sumatra are covered in dense rainforest, which throws up pretty much every engineering challenge possible. This 28-kilometre stretch of road between Pematang, Sinatar and Seberlawan shows the challenges faced. This key stretch of the route links the major city of Medan to the industrial port of Kuala Tanjung and the nearby tourist hotspot of Parapat. The path for this bit of the road lay through dense remote rainforest, and even just getting the survey done for it was never going to be easy. Instead of relying on traditional techniques conducted manually on the ground, the construction team turned to LiDAR technology. That enabled them to create an accurate picture of the road, which could then be integrated into infrastructure engineering software provided by Bentley Systems. LiDAR is similar to radar and sonar in that it emits a pulse towards an object and measures the time for the pulse to return to calculate distance. With nearly 500,000 of these measurements made every second, the data that generates can create an incredibly accurate picture of the ground. LiDAR surveys are usually conducted from aeroplanes, but that was quickly ruled out as an expensive and impractical option for the Trans-Sumatra Road. Instead, the team used a drone, mapping the ground with a tolerance of 25 centimetres throughout the route. Aside from accuracy, LiDAR also has the advantage of using laser pulses rather than sound or radio waves to do its job. Just like rays of light passing through a forest, the light from the laser beam is able to pass through soft vegetation. The strength of the light returned is measured to give a three-dimensional picture of the survey area, allowing the team to map out the dense jungle. The result was a survey time for this stretch of road that ran to just 28 days, nearly 100 days quicker than planned. But it's more than just above ground conditions the team had to work through. Being in humid rainforest and all, the ground beneath the construction site is soft. Soil samples showed areas of soft soil and clay 13 meters deep. You don't need to be an engineer to realize that that's not the ideal conditions to build a road that hundreds of thousands of people are going to be driving on.
It will be crossed heavily by the large trucks, and then it will create some cracks when the soil are not solid or not giving reinforcement.
To add stability to the road, a fabric membrane known as a geotextile was laid under the 6-meter embankment. This helped water filtration and reduced the stress on the soft underlying earth.
The geotextile basically consists of the non-woven polyester and polypropylene. It's like a layer that can be grown on the top of the soil to prevent the soil displacement. It has the ability to separate and reinforce the soil itself.
Now, managing a project that includes everything from soil samples to LiDAR mapping needs a powerful set of tools to make sense of the vast amount of data. For this, the team at Hitamakaya turned to Bentley, whose suite of programs has made them an industry leader in infrastructure engineering software. Bentley's software is able to combine data from different sources, like LiDAR scans, to create a complete digital model of the project, enabling the project team to visualize the job in a variety of ways. Bentley Luminar T was used to create a visualization of the road, which was pretty central in identifying problems and then displaying them in very visual ways. In this case, the planned route clashed with an existing road, and a visualization was used to quickly identify the need for a higher bridge clearance. For a project that's reliant on state funding, advanced tech solutions like this are essential for keeping costs down.
We are very happy to use all of the resourceful technology and how we can bring the valuable advantage to elevate the digital transformation of the project, so we can ensure that this toll road will be in the best quality that can be used by all of the people for the next 40 or 60 years.
When the road is completed, it'll have major benefits for Sumatra's economy. As well as a booming tourist industry, the island boasts enormous mineral wealth, which once earned it the nickname the Island of Gold. Sumatra has huge deposits of oil, silver and coal, and is a major producer of tea, coffee, rice and corn. With journey times due to be cut in half by the road and logistics costs reduced by 30%, these export industries will all benefit massively from the projects. But who in turn will benefit from that economic development?
I don't doubt that it will support economic development as it supports connectivity and stuff, but there is a worry that it will only be enjoyed by not many.
Existing roads set to be bypassed by the new toll routes provide a valuable source of income for many of the island's poorer citizens. Now, suggestions have been made to try and replicate their businesses along the new highway.
Local communities will have their small, medium businesses that have been through more than 10-15 years having stalls in the road, where a lot of people would come and stop by either for their lunch, their meals, or even just to have their cup of coffee when they're on a road trip break. There should be some sort of allocation or where existing businesses can open in the toll road, where they plan to make a lot of rest areas. Will there be opportunities for the existing communities to open there? If they do, will there be subsidies for them as well?
As well as the human element, there's also concern for Sumatra's rich ecosystem, which hosts many critically endangered species. This branch road connecting the main highway to the city of Padang cuts across the border of the Kerinci Seblat National Park. That's one of the biggest of its kind on the island, and one of the most important tiger conservation habitats in the world.
In terms of tigers in itself, it's actually one of the key species of Sumatra that still roams very much in the wild. By fragmenting their roaming area through the road cutting, there would be increase of human-wildlife conflict activities, where the tigers in itself will roam into community areas.
In a place as verdant and wild as Sumatra, economic development will almost always be at odds with the natural environment, and there are no easy answers. Indonesia's economic growth has helped reduce absolute poverty levels from over 70% in the 1980s to less than 10% today. For that economic growth to continue across Sumatra, it's going to need reliable modern infrastructure like the Trans-Sumatra Toll Road, a key part of developing tourism, shipping and industry across the island. And it's important to note that it doesn't always have to come at a cost to wildlife.
We also conserve the
Hanya
natural
melindungi.
habitat of elephants. So
Bagus
we
kalau
develop
melindungi
also like a crossing for the elephants in another
budaya ini,
section. So we also consider the
gajah,
sustainability
singa.
of the animals.
My personal view is that
Sayangnya
I'd like to be as hopeful
orang
as
ini
possible.
belum
I think
menentukan
as long as that there will be opportunities
dewe
for
kan.
civil society organizations, those communities to also take part later on, to have our suggestions be considered and be implemented.
Just over 650 kilometres of the road is currently operational, so there's still some way to go if it's going to meet its planned completion date of 2024. Once fully open, it'll have a profound effect on the island and give Sumatra a key piece of modern infrastructure that it needs if it wants to grow further. While the wider implications of this remain to be seen, anyone taking part in Mudik will definitely have an easier ride. This video was made possible by Bentley Systems. You can learn more about that at the link below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you subscribe to the B1M.
Ya bagus, Indonesia maju. Mangus jalan tol juga di Pulau Sulawesi ya gek dak. Pemerintah 2024 juga Trans Sumatera juga. Jembatan Sak Sunda, jembatan Sak Malaka, jembatan Batam ke Singapura. Ya banyak pekerjaan sih. Namanya sekolah coba selesai. Ada banyak tertunda, ada banyak korupsi. Dan terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.